Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ben's Business Podcast, episode number 70. Today, I'm going to be talking about a concept that's fairly new to me called Ikigai, which is a Japanese term for the source of value in one's life, or it can be the reason for being. And I'm actually going to be interviewed by a guy who does my video edits, Michael Plain, later today about that for an interview he's doing for a college project. So I had to kind of discover what this meant. So it made sense to do the podcast on Ikigai today for that reason, so I could really know what I'm talking about in this interview when I'm asked. And what I thought it was before, I was fairly wrong. I thought it was just another word for purpose, but actually it's the Japanese term for more than just that. It's more about your work and combining, rather than having your purpose and your passions and all separate things, as you've got your family life, you've got your work life, you got a life mission, you've got all these things scattered about as different things. Ikigai is, in a way, bringing it all together. And there's a great diagram I've seen. I'll share this on Instagram as well. This is the diagram I came across. You can search for that if you go on Google Images, but it talks about what you love, what the world actually needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And that's kind of the points that make up all parts of Ikigai, to bring it all, combine it all to one place. I'm just going to share this onto Ben's Business Book Club if it's not already been done. Ben's Business Book Club is a community of entrepreneurs and readers like myself. We all chat about and share some of the summaries of books that we're currently reading, some of the best books in business and self-help. So if you want to join that, it's a free Facebook group. So it's number one, what you love, and that's where you get fulfillment and what your passion is. Number two, what are you good at, your strengths, your natural talents. Number three, what the world actually needs, like the marketplace, what's like supply and demand, like what do people really need. Steve Jobs has already invented the iPhone. Number four, what can you be rewarded for or paid for, and that will generate you some wealth. So having all four of these areas combined into one is what makes up this term Ikigai. And I've found if we do something basically just for one part or the other, another part kind of is missing in your life. So for example, I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting into business, very eager and excited, even naive like I was myself, and finding the only purpose or motive to get into business is to get rich and make a lot of money and buy lots of materialistic things. And I do think that's definitely the wrong way to look at it. There was a great, on to Steve Jobs again, there was a great speech that I seen of Steve Jobs when he was talking about why people always say this thing that you have to love it what you do. So like you have to have passion for what it is you do. And he said himself, so this is once the richest man in the world, one of the most successful men in the world in terms of what he did in business. And he says it's 100% true, because if you go for something that you don't love, you'll probably fail at it, because it's so hard trying to go after this like mission or purpose that you're driven to achieve. Even if you find your something that you're good at, something that makes money, if you're not finding like the other areas like fulfillment and have some type of passion for it, then it's really hard to keep persisting when things get tough and get really hard. We have to be able to do it and think about what we're going to do over a sustained period of time, so that we're actually able to persist when things get really tough, because they will get tough. And I've experienced that myself. I could even be at the beginning of my business career and trying lots of different things. I've even experienced that drive of like, there's a lot of money in this area, so I attempted something like that. But at the other end of it, I didn't actually find a lot of fulfillment. So something went slightly wrong, although there was opportunity to make a lot of money. When something went slightly wrong, I didn't have any passion for it, and therefore I didn't actually feel like fixing it and realized that I had my alignment and my clarity on what I actually wanted out of life was slightly wrong when I was going down that route. So that I made a mistake. I made the mistake of not combining all these important areas of life into one sole mission, and that's why I think this concept of the Ikigai is really, really a great idea. Because if you have the correct motives for the job that you're spending all your time on doing, then it makes it worthwhile. But if you have the wrong motive and things go slightly wrong, like what it did in my experience, and you've maybe even had a few failures and defeats under your belt, you start to realize how the importance of this idea of long-term thinking, that if I don't get clarity under what it is I want, and I keep getting to this pinnacle point where I have to make a decision to give up on that and move on to the next thing, if we keep getting to this step, then and we realize that we're not focused on a path that's going to take us long term. So that's why I find this so important, that we do need to get the other point I wanted to talk about is we need to spend time on finding out what we really want. So really, when you get clarity, you get into flow. It's easy. You're going with the stream. You're going down a path that you're meant to go down, and it just feels more freeing rather than chained to like almost resisting going down that path and feeling like it's hard to get to work and always having to pull yourself up to go again. Rather than feeling like that, we will have to pull ourselves up to persist, but it's a wee bit easier when you love the thing that you're getting up for to do. So make sure that you get that all four of those areas in place of the what they call the Ikigai in Japan. So do what you love, what you're good at, what the world actually needs, and what you can be paid for. The last point I have on this is the idea of what it says in Ecclesiastes in the Bible. It says that I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and striving after the wind. So what that means is the idea that, and they also talked about we should just enjoy what we have and like the work that we do. So get the pleasure and the delight from the work that we do. So by finding that like your purpose, like you're kind of combining all these things that you do into one thing that you're doing every day, and really getting a lot of joy as well as getting rewarded for it, is the best thing we can do. Because when you look at yourself from the universe from far away and think about how small you really are, how much a lot of this is just vanity and ego, and we really think people can think beyond themselves so that they're so important, but really in the big scale of time and the universe and everything in history, we don't make a big difference. Even people who did make a dent in the universe, like Steve Jobs, they made a difference to people's lives from like 100 years span in front of go in the future from them and around them in their lifespan, but then thousands of years go on and that's all forgotten. And that's what I mean about, if you find yourself kind of still not finding a purpose, like we have to realize that is look at that perspective as well, as what you're doing matters to you, and that makes sense. But in a bigger picture, when we look at that scale of things, that makes things okay when you're still not found it. Because I think it's a long process to I'm watching some entrepreneurs kind of get into business just now, and they're going after the money and they're going after the things that that's perceived as successful. But what I know that they'll find out, like what I found out, is down the line they'll realize there's more important things to fulfill in their lifetime, and life's quite short. But then beyond that, when things aren't working out, that it's a great thing to grasp back onto, that really we're all going to die. And I know this is like a pessimistic look on things, but it's factual, and that's a fact. So to look at it from that perspective as well, just realize that it's not as important as we think it is. But at the same time, while we're here, we might as well love what we do, be rewarded, and have fun while we're here. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. We'll be going on to an interview soon with Michael to talk about my own Ikigai, what I've kind of accumulated together over my first 30 years alive, and what that I'm sure in 10 years it'll evolve over time. And I think everyone's Ikigai is evolving over time. So I'm going to share mine today. I hope you can find yours, and it might take time. So just have patience and keep persisting. The best thing you can do to find it is to persist, but also take time out to spend time in workshops and just clearing your mind and get into an environment where you can really think about this and get some clarity. So thanks for watching. Any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you watch this on the replay, just leave in the comments #replay. It'd be good to see who's watched this on that's not been watching it live. Thanks for joining everyone else.